Hello fellow gamers, today we're going to talk about Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed 3, which focuses on Connor Kenway, a half-British, half-Native American assassin in colonial times. We're going to discuss the overall elements that are responsible for making this amazing game possible, including the aesthetics, which are the elements which invoke your senses, the mechanics, which are basically how you play the game, and briefly on the technology which integrates all of this together. Hope you enjoy. The improved visual performance of the game gives your character more fluid movements when they're running around, climbing, fighting, walking, etc. And the enhanced animation also provides more detail than ever on your overall environment. For instance, even something as minor as the smoke that comes out of a musket, pistol, or cannon just gives the game a more realistic feel to it. Other new animation aspects include blood on the characters whenever they are injured, especially throughout the story when the primary antagonists are killed by Connor. This enhances the overall realistic feel of the plot by reminding us that these characters are human. Connor himself even shows certain emotions when engaged in combat, heavily reflecting anger whenever he makes a kill. This definitely makes Connor seem more like an anti-hero than an actual hero. Unlike previous Assassin's Creed games, which only portrayed 100 soldiers in one particular scene, this game portrays up to 1,000 soldiers in combat, particularly during the main missions where you are assisting the Patriot soldiers in a major historical conflict. This same aspect also applies to civilians in order to portray more accuracy in the size of the large populations that once inhabited the cities of Boston and New York during colonial times. Another interesting gameplay aspect includes the ability of your character Connor Kenway to dual-wield weapons, or to hold two weapons at one time in combat, such as the tomahawk in one hand and a knife in the other, making the character appear more warrior-like. Connor can also utilize his environment in terms of his free-running or parkour skills. Unlike previous characters, he can also climb trees and cliff edges, further adding to his fluid movements as described earlier. To further assist in the more realistic feel that the game is intended to bring, there are newer methods of blending in to avoid enemy detection, such as hiding in bushes, interacting with animals, or even leaning behind a wall. Performing any actions with Connor are also more complex than in previous games. Instead of just hitting one button and holding down another, you have to do a combination of button movements. This makes the game more challenging for those whom thought that previous Assassin's Creed games made combat just far too easy. This is also how Connor performs more offensive attacks rather than defensive ones, by first blocking, then attacking. These improved combat features also include new killing animations when counterattacking, which allow Connor to perform insane martial artist-like movements, like flipping, rolling, dodging, and advanced killing techniques. Another interesting combative feature includes the human shield. When soldiers prepare a formation to fire upon you, you can use a nearby enemy as a defense against firing. A new addition to the assassination techniques includes the running assassination, which is where you basically run towards an opponent with your weapon selected, and you simply kill them while running. A previous burden in the franchise was your inability to kill an enemy while maintaining momentum. Also, one of the coolest new forms of missions available in Assassin's Creed 3 includes naval warfare, which is a type of mission where you basically captain your own ship and you must defend it as well as your own crew from opposing ships through the use of different forms of artillery, including cannons, mortars, and grape shots. Unlike previous games, you spend almost as much time playing as the franchise's primary protagonist, Desmond Miles, by performing several different tasks that further the course of the story. His final act, marking what many crazed fans such as myself would refer to as the true end of the series. In order to make achieving optional accomplishments in each mission more of a challenge, you now have to complete more than one optional action, such as having to kill a certain number of opponents and or avoiding any damage, while also completing the mission in a set amount of time and or maintaining a certain distance from a fleeing target. Anvil Next, The gaming engine which premiered in this game's production is responsible for the amazingly detailed landscapes, precise depiction of 18th century America, and many other things. It's also what allows for the ongoing weather cycle on land and water, in order to add further to the realism and complexity of character movement. Also included in Anvil Nexus technology is artificial intelligence, which allows for the extensive amount of interaction you can engage in with different NPCs, as well as your environment. Well, that's basically all I have to share with each of you. However, there are infinite other elements to Assassin's Creed 3 that you yourselves can research. Until then, nothing is true. Everything is permitted.